Welcome to Bookview. And today we're here with Eve Gregg. Eve is a noted author and speaker. I would like to thank you so much, Eve, for joining us today. And Eve's newest book that she's still working on is called Modern Vampirism Behind the Myth. And Eve, if you please, would you tell us a little bit about this book you're working on? We're dying to see it. We can't wait for the date for it's going to be released.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, James, first off. I'm so excited about this new project. I've written about vampires in the past. I've written about them basically as blood-sucking cults, humans dressed up in goth clothing.
Right.
But now what I'm trying to really go beyond is beyond those cults, beyond what we think of vampires today as just gothic people walking around. I want to really just discover that possibly there could be the undead creatures walking among us today.
Okay. Yes, I've been getting tons of email. All of our viewers have been suggesting, oh, you should get Eve Gregg on. You should get Eve Gregg on. And said, yeah, we'll try. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We're really interested about that, and we looked into some of your other books. And what I thought was, I was thinking of how to start the interview with you, so I thought, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
One of your first books was about cryptozoology. So what we wanted to find out was, how did you get that interest in cryptozoology? I know a little bit about your background,
right,
but how did you get that?
Well, for starters, I'd like to clue in everybody who may not know what cryptozoology is. A lot of people do not exactly know what I do. It's a study of unknown creatures, such as Loch Ness Monster, Sasquatch. What I attempt to do is to prove that these creatures, known as cryptids in our world, do in fact exist.
Right, yes.
As a little girl, I was just fascinated by lore, mythic beasts. I actually used to speak to the monsters underneath my bed. Most kids fear them.
Right.
I actually wanted to understand them and their world. I must have watched Wizard of Oz about 1,001 times.
Wow.
I vowed that I would dedicate my life to finding that these flying monkeys and horses that change colors do exist.
Yeah, so I read your bio and I realized you started out on a traditional path of zoology, and
right.
then and you made that switch. You made that switch in college.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So tell us a little bit. What is the majority of your job like? I know you. What I love about your work is that you're not just a typical author who does the research maybe in the library or through the archives. You actually get out there
right.
and you find information out yourself. You do field work, which
yes,
is really important
do.
to us.
A lot of it, I do have to admit, is very tedious work. It involves sifting through newspaper articles, books, internet. A lot of it is just 12 hours sitting back to back, just looking at gathering information.
Right.
But what like you mentioned, the most important and an exciting thing is field work. It's
right.
interviewing people.
Right.
For instance, I just did an interview with people who claim to be vampires.
Right.
And another interesting part is actually getting the opportunity to visit these exotic locales.
Right.
On one of my expeditions, I actually ventured to rainforest in northern Vietnam. In search of the giant golden turtle.
Wow.
It's legendary,
Yes,
and in myth, they say that if you do catch a glimpse of this turtle, it does bestow good luck upon you.
Right.
So I was actually on the team that discovered that it does exist.
Wow.
So,
and tell us about, now that you mentioned that, tell us about some of your other interesting experiences, maybe some of the places that you went on expedition.
Okay.
We'd like to hear about that a little bit.
The most interesting experience that I've had is actually going to the Amazon in search of the Baku.
Oh.
Baku are analogous, I guess, to what we call a leprechaun or a little man.
Wow.
It's a creature no more than a foot high.
Wow.
And I actually, the tour guide that we had on our tour, he was actually leading us to a site where the skeletal remains of a Baku were found.
Wow.
And he was just amazing because he had the most elaborate stories of their culture. He was part of a mysterious Jivaro clan, and the Jivaro people have been around for thousands of years. They originated in the Amazonian basin. And they're known for the common custom of shrinking heads.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite interesting
Right.
to hear all those stories and to really see how lore really has a strong place in their their
Right.
culture, and really that lore is fact for them.
Right.
One of the other tour guides on our tour actually fled from the tour because he
Oh.
he was, as we were nearing the site, he actually feared that the Baku would
Oh,
attack him, or
okay.
the spirit of the
Right,
Baku would come
right.
back. So it was very interesting.
Right. It's amazing that you experience these things that we only read about,
Right.
and I think that's what makes your writing stand out among so many other authors that are in this field. So
Right.
that's what really exciting to us. How has the internet helped or hurt your work?
The internet is sort of like a double-edged sword. I get nearly about hundreds and hundreds of emails daily. I have to sift through the people who are valid, who have valid references, versus the people who are just trying to get recognition and fame.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes a lot of people don't view what I do as a serious profession, so
Right.
they'll prank me. They'll
Right.
they'll put in falsified information about supposedly viewing a specific
Right.
mythic
Exactly,
creature, and
exactly.
it does not exist,
Right.
and they just fabricated a story.
Right.
But what's interesting is that a lot of what I get are, I mean, this is a 1 in a million occurrence, but it does happen where someone will actually give me information that
okay.
is actually accurate, and a lot of these people are just afraid of being ridiculed.
Right,
But
right.
so the internet provides them a way of being anonymous,
Yes,
and to
yes,
be
yes.
easily.
Now that you bring that up, there was a big topic recently in the news that even made it into the mainstream news about some researchers here, supposed researchers, who claim to have found a Bigfoot body. Did you hear
Right.
anything about that? And hoaxes like that, what I think hoaxes like that, they hurt everyone who is a serious researcher in this field. What do you think about that? About people perpetrating those type of hoaxes?
Well, what I think is that until it's proven, you shouldn't pass any judgment. I actually saw the photo. I don't really know too much about its accuracy in terms
Right,
of if that
right,
really was
right,
Bigfoot.
right.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Right,
We'll
right,
have to find
right,
out, and that's
right.
part of what I do.
Exactly,
And that's my
exactly.
passion.
And let's see, a nice question here, I guess in the final wrap up. I know you've written several books on cryptozoology. Is there one in particular that you'd like to recommend to our viewers? I know your new one is coming out, but they're
Oh,
waiting
yes.
for that. And
Yes.
we'll say that title again, Modern Vampirism Behind the Myth.
Yes.
And actually, one of my staff just told me that they're even taking pre-orders right now on Amazon.com, so you can.
Great, I'm excited. Can I say that I recommend all my books?
Okay,
No.
okay.
I'm kidding. For example, I would definitely recommend my first book,
Okay.
Cryptozoology: A to Zombie.
Okay.
It's a compendium
I love that
of
title.
all. Yeah, I thought it was cute. It's a compendium of all different mythic creatures.
Right.
There's about at least 1,000 or so in
Wow,
there. So
wow,
I mean,
wow.
for a
It's
beginner
extensive
who
work,
who
yeah.
knows minimal knowledge on the subject, I believe that this is a great point of reference.
Right, okay, great.
And of course my newest book, which
Right,
everyone should
right.
stay tuned, be on the
Yes,
lookout
yes.
for.
Okay, great. Behind the Myth, Vampirism, Behind the Myth.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us today, Eve Gregg. And it's been a pleasure, and we hope to have
Thank
you back
you.
again on Book View.
Of course.
Thank you very much. And when the book comes out, we will definitely get a copy, and we will like to have you back to talk about any questions
I'd be
that we may
happy to
have.
be back, James. Thank you so much.
Thank you.